Call this meeting to order for the purpose of a special meeting for action to consider taking action on the 5-day hybrid options for the school year. All of our members are in attendance except for trustee Heather Clark, and she is on her way. First item on the agenda would be public written comment. We do have 4 requests for public comment, and we have, of course, many written comments. We'll start with the public comments here. First up on the agenda would be Christy Labby. Is Christy Labby here? Okay, I assume she's not. If she comes in, we'll give her another chance. Next would be Jessica Hendricks. Please do.
Hey. Do you want to come sit by me? Okay. Hi, I'm Jessica Hendricks. I have 4 kids in the school district. I live in the Chubbuck area. I'm here to talk about this. I wanted to question why the meeting is being held today at 2:30 when my kids need to be picked up. I actually had to take them out of school to be here, so I feel like that's something that needs to be taken into account. Not only that, but the teachers are unable to come at this time as well because they are still in class. So I'm kind of questioning why it was done at this time. It kind of feels like, in a way, it feels like teachers and parents aren't being asked to have an input when it's put at a time where they can't even come attend. So and I realize that they can email, but I just feel like that's important to point out. The other thing I wanted to point out is that May 12th, when you guys had your meeting there with the survey, I get hundreds of emails having 4 kids in the school district. So I'm sure that it's something that I missed. I don't think it's necessarily on your guys' account, but I wonder if the survey, like why it was thrown out, kind of, like we didn't, like it was discussed. It was just, I rewatched the meeting like 1.5 times. I guess I was just kind of confused as to what's going on. And I feel like we need more clarification as far as what the hybrid or 4-day week would look like. I feel like we've kind of just threw the 4-day out, where I'm neither for nor against it. I'm luckily a stay-at-home mom, so I'm kind of okay with whatever happens. But I know a lot of people don't have that ability to stay at home and be available for their kids at all times. So that's my thought on that. And then just to throw this out there as an idea, can we end before Memorial Day and start after Labor Day? I would really very much appreciate it, and I'm sure the teachers would as well. Because the kids are crazy at that time, and it's more of a get it out of the way situation. I will say a few things that one of the teachers mentioned to me. She said, we had mixed feelings, 2nd grade, wondered how it would affect the hours or length of the day. We aren't against having an extra work day to get grading done, but some districts have students with missing assignments come in and work on Fridays. That sounds complicated. We worried about the kids that don't have a good home life and who would be home with those kids on Fridays, who would be there to make sure they have a decent lunch or get them up and out of bed. Also, we talked about the length of the calendar. But someone said we had to follow the high school's schedule, which has different requirements. So that was something that she mentioned. We also understand the complication it gives parents for finding daycare plans. I think we'd be okay with either, leaving it at 5 days or 4 days with a work day. But we all disagree with school years going into June, and we'd be okay going back early in August when kids are actually energized and ready to go. Again, this is all one teacher saying this information. Teachers were very frustrated. The meeting was during teacher contract hours, more specifically during school. One teacher recommended sending an email directly if they won't accommodate teacher hours. I think that's all I have to say. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up would be Jesse Arnold.
like a 30-second warning or anything? I'm not.
Do my best to give you a 30-second warning.
Okay, thank you. I'd appreciate that. I'm a District 25 parent. I care really deeply about our learners and our community. I've researched the benefits of a 4-day school week and feel that this is a choice that will strengthen our learners and our community in so many ways. I was just reading your beliefs up here, and I'd recommend that you reread those in making this decision. I'm sure you have them memorized, but they mean more when you're looking at it through a different lens, I guess. Studies show that our children benefit from more family time, more play, and more sleep. Let's give them an entire day a week to play and rest. Studies show that high schools see 39% less bullying from making this change. That's a measurable but priceless benefit. Imagine all of the immeasurable benefits that we could see from this. I have teen sons. They are eager to learn more hands-on and work with their hands. They would immediately be contributing to our community if given the opportunity to spend an extra day a week training and working productively. I know other businesses in our community would welcome this change and create work and service opportunities that will engage our young people. We can set up childcare opportunities. The summer drop-in program was awesome at Syringa. Let's expand that. Let's have the high school students help our learners that need that extra care and support. Let's give them an experience and training to be better future parents. Let's talk about our teachers. How supported and less overwhelmed will our teachers be with this change? Our teachers are so fabulous and they work so hard. Let's give them the prep and recovery time they desperately need. They will come to school rested and fresh, and their families will be strengthened. I won't talk about recruitment and retainment of teachers because we already have the absolute best teachers in our district. Sorry, I obviously care a lot about this. I do feel that we will see better attendance, less illness, and better mental health for our learners and teachers. And that we'll recruit students as well from the charter schools. If we go into this with a positive attitude and ask for the support we need to make this happen, I truly see it as a brighter future for our area. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up will be Marianne McGrory.
I'll continue the tradition of sitting down. Good afternoon, board members and staff of the district. I would like to begin by addressing some remarks that have been made in the past board work sessions and regular board meetings in regards to the discussions on 4 or 5 day school week. The PEA is not pushing for either a 4-day week or a 5-day week. I have presented the calendar of SD 93 as it is a compromise between a 4-day and a 5-day week that allows for elementary collaboration and prep time, as well as interventions and enrichment time for secondary students with additional collaboration and prep time for those teachers. Additionally, classified staff hours and wages were not affected when School District 93 changed to this schedule. I am most familiar with this schedule because that is the one that my 2 daughters work under. What the PEA has asked for repeatedly is for a real discussion and a review of a 4-day versus 5-day school week that their members can be involved in. It also appears that some people think the request to look at a 4-day week comes from teachers just wanting a day off. That could not be farther from the truth. Another comment made is that y'all have not gotten much communication in regards to a 4-day week or a 5-day week. You've never asked for input from staff, and when I did provide quite a bit of input, as I have done for the past 10 years, it was dismissed as being submitted in violation of board policy as I sent it to board members and individual names were not linked to each comment. And then you scheduled this meeting at a time when no school employees could attend. Additionally, the purpose of this meeting is also quite hazy. It says 5-day hybrid options. Are you considering the move of 1 hour early release from Mondays to Fridays a hybrid? To me, the schedule of 93, and I don't keep repeating that because I'm trying to push for that, but that's the one I know the most about. That is a 5-day hybrid. On the topic of the purpose of the meeting, one board member wrote, today's meeting was mostly called to evaluate feedback from teachers and administrators on the subject of moving early release from Monday to Fridays and allowing teachers to leave 1 hour early 2 days of the month to allow time for appointments, longer weekends for families and activities, etc. When was there a call for feedback from teachers? It is also apparent that it is not, or it was not clearly understood that the 1 hour each Monday that we release the students early for is for PLC and PD, not just working in our rooms or working with our colleagues. This seems to be apparent in the suggestion that 2 or 3 Fridays each month, teachers could just be able to leave when the kids do. We would then lose that PLC or PD time. I've attended or watched the last 4 board work sessions and board meetings. In regards to the issue of a 4-day week versus a 5-day week, you first asked for a committee to be formed, a different committee from the calendar committee that already exists. You then asked for a survey to be developed. It was developed, and as it was being presented, you then pivoted and said creating a survey before knowing what you want is putting the horse before the cart. But that's what a survey is for, to find out what people want and then research how that relates to our district. From the discussion on surveys, the board then pivoted again to moving from looking to at a 4-day or 5-day schedule to simply moving the 1 hour early release on Mondays to Fridays. Please conduct a survey of staff and parents to determine the desire for a 4 or 5-day week. Then, if the data shows that people are interested in looking at a 4-day week or some sort of hybrid, convene a committee. Include teachers and classified members on that committee to research the options for school days that best fits our district. Please keep the 1 hour early release on Mondays, as that is what the majority of respondents have asked for, and it is already on the calendar for next year. There is absolutely no purpose to moving 1 hour early release to Fridays, and there is a real concern that this move will negatively affect attendance on Fridays. My final remarks are on the topic of the feedback that the PEA provided for this session and previous sessions. I, as the president, seek input from members and at times non-members and compile it into one form for a variety of reasons. One is that so the feedback is on one document and y'all aren't getting a ton of emails, it's all in one place. And 2, because there are staff members who are really afraid of putting their name on their thoughts because they are truly afraid of retribution for their input. Today, I chose to not link the names of staff members to their comments for several reasons that were expressed to me from members. The first was the feedback provided was as the collective voice of the PEA, and individual names should not be required when we operate as a collective voice. The next comment given to me by a member, this latest move by the board suggests to me they are operating in bad faith and that some of them may well be interested in retaliation against people who disagree with them. There are issues which I consider worth taking a stand and risking that, but the 4-day week is not one of them. They are going to do what they want regardless. I have zero confidence that they care what we think. So I'm asking you to keep Mondays as our early release and conduct a survey to ascertain what the staff and the community really wants. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just wondering if Christy Labby showed up, if so. Okay. So that's the end of our public comments. The next thing on the agenda here we have is 5-day hybrid options. And so we're not aware of those options. I assume they've been prepared. We have a presentation on those.
Oh, it's just that what we could do, Mr. Chairman, is present to you essentially what's contained in the PDF version. We'd ask for our administrators to meet collectively together and to come up with their pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages, and Mr. Watson, Mrs. Pettit could present those to you, just give you a summary
Okay.
for those at home watching that maybe don't have this quite, in front of them.
Right.
Okay, I wanted to-
Well, sure, you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Deanna.
So the input that you ask for from the administrators,
Yes,
can you be specific about what you ask for?
you bet. So I asked them to not criticize the suggestion, because we did an informal survey, just a little poll, and I asked them to raise their hands and just think, just like we were a little bit last week, ask, what do you think about this? And, just quickly thinking, the reaction was not in favor of a Friday afternoon. And so.
Switching the teacher workday specifically? Is that?
Early
early
release,
release.
moving that from Monday to Friday.
Right.
And so a majority of the hands went up when I asked if you'd like to keep it on Monday. And so then I asked if we could just have Mr. Watson get his advisory team together, which is basically like a building leadership team, but for principals. And so each year that rotates. And so ask them to be not critical of the suggestion, but to make some provide constructive feedback. And I asked that for the middle school group as well as the high school group. And then I said, if there are any of you who have a differing opinion than what that collective group presents or provides, then you're welcome to send the board an email on your own. So rather than you receive, 90% of administrators that were not in favor of moving it to Friday from Monday, just for various reasons, which you've read, which we can hear today, then to go ahead and write the board. Because I didn't want you just bombarded with 40 emails that said nearly the same thing.
Okay.
But those who wanted the opportunity to write you in maybe a different perspective, they could do that as well.
Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
Chairman, am I able to, and I apologize that I missed the work session, literally got off a plane from Heathrow this morning to make sure I got here. I would like the opportunity to share my thoughts on this, as I was not allowed or was not able to. Is that something I can do now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Here's what I would propose. We do have it on the agenda. They're going to talk about these options. The superintendent has told us that they've taken the time to receive input. And so I would just like to hear what they have to say. Then we're going to have a complete discussion where you can have an ample opportunity to express your concerns as long as you want and as often as you want. And we will discuss the whole matter in regards to the survey, et cetera, as has been brought up. But since they took the time to get this information, and it is on the agenda, I would like to hear from the AJ and Sue, what they have to say.
Okay,
And
I
then-
just would like, I'm just asking for an opportunity.
Oh, yes,
but that's-
absolutely,
okay,
absolutely.
that's fine.
And so, but they put the effort into it, and it is on the agenda, so let's listen to them, and then we will have everyone will have an ample opportunity to
Thank you.
express their concerns. Who's first, AJ? Okay. Oh, one other thing before we start, AJ. In regards to anonymous inputs, again, we're not engaging in the discussion, but this topic has come up. Our policy does state that we're ruled by our policies. We have a priority of the rules we have to follow. And first in the priority is any state or federal laws. We have to comply with that. After that, the district is run by the policies. And the policy does state that inputs are not to be anonymous, and they're to be submitted to the board secretary. And that ensures that they're adequately distributed to everybody, and they have an opportunity to be put on the agenda for everyone to read. And so I have read all the inputs, including the ones that were anonymous. But the problem with anonymous inputs is that, and I'm just saying hypothetically, we really don't know, there's a possibility there could be inputs that somebody actually didn't make. There could be multiple inputs by the same person. And if someone has a criticism or whatever, and it would be nice if we knew who they were so we could talk to that person. So there is a problem with anonymous inputs. But I did read everything. As a matter of fact, here, these are the first inputs that we received from anonymously, and I've gone through all of them. I went through all the other ones as well. I and no means want to restrict input. We want input, but there is a problem if it's anonymous because for all the reasons I just stated.
May I make a comment?
Sure.
I believe as the PEA president, are you former now, or are you still president? Still president. We've had a precedence that she represents her constituents. And in numerous occasions, we have accepted feedback as a representative. I mean, if anything, she's going to be the one to maintain the veracity of those comments as having come from her members. And I think that's, now whether that's something we need to adopt in our policy, but it has been the precedence that that is how solicitation of information comes from her constituents. She's not taking it from the general public or from random people. She is the representative of the teachers. That's where the feedback comes from. And so I think it's totally appropriate the way it was done.
Well, thank you for that. And like I said, I just wanted to explain the
Sure.
reasoning behind it. It is our policy, and I think that's a valid discussion, and we will take that up. And if we want to make a modification to the policy, we can do that. But the policy is as it stands now, and that was the reasoning behind it. But I think you've made a good point, and we certainly will discuss that. Okay, so I haven't put that out.
Jim has-
Jim?
Oh, I was just thinking that Mary Ann she has the information of the people that actually turned in that information, and then she presents that as a body. I don't think that's being, that they're not putting their name on it. They've got their name out there. They're just making that as a body thing. So-
Okay.
And I agree. I think, like you said, if somebody anonymously writes, and they could write 10 times to us, and we would maybe through different emails or whatever, we wouldn't know the difference. But with her, where she's getting her information from her people, and she knows those people, and she presents that to us, I don't see a problem with accepting that.
Okay. Well, like I say, that's a topic for another time, but thank you for your input. And that's good, valid input, and we'll discuss that later. And I do want to say that, I have read all of that input, and we don't want to restrict input. And so just wanted to clarify that. So who would like to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, trustees. Just in regard to what Dr. Howell presented, the information we asked for from our administrators was specifically in regard to an earlier release on Friday. So these benefits, concerns, I'll just summarize them, and then there were a couple questions at the end and just share with you. As an elementary team, we have 3 different teams that work throughout the year. They're advisory teams and PLC teams, and so they kind of consolidated all of their input into these benefits and concerns. So I'll just run through those, and then if you have any additional questions, you can follow up at the end. So as in regard to benefits, a Friday early release may initially boost staff morale if we were given employees an earlier start to the weekend and greater flexibility for appointments, family needs, and personal time. Some families may appreciate the convenience of arranging plans for the weekend, travel, or events. Shortening the school day on Fridays could reduce late week student fatigue and behavior concerns. Having a full instructional Monday may help teachers establish routines, launch learning for the week, and maintain consistency with interventions and what we call WIN groups, but our intervention groups. Concerns. The Monday schedule is consistent and predictable. Schedules, routines, and meetings have been established so that all staff are engaged in collaborative work that directly benefits students. Moving the time could unintentionally reduce the effectiveness of staff meetings, PLCs, professional development held on Friday afternoons. Staff energy and engagement are often lower at the end of the week, which can impact the depth of collaboration, reflection conversations, data analysis, and instructional planning. Monday early release schedules often support stronger implementation because teachers can immediately apply ideas and action steps throughout the week. A Friday structure may also lead to increased absences or early departures from both students and staff as families begin weekend travel earlier and employees experience end-of-week fatigue. Concern with emphasizing to staff that it is still a full contract day and they are still expected to work a 7.5-hour day. Administrators can be inundated with requests to leave early on Fridays. And then they just had some additional follow-up questions, which we know haven't been answered at this point. Would staff be able to leave early every other week, or would staff work the full 5 days? Would there be consistent district-wide guidelines and expectations for staff on Fridays? And what is the main purpose of moving from a Monday to a Friday? So just some feedback in regard to, there was individual comments on there, and you have all of that input that you received. I know we tried to get it to you earlier, but it was last minute. So as we had this special meeting, we compiled all of it and tried to summarize it for you.
And again, we asked our principals, I asked 2 of mine, can you compile so they don't need to read 9 different emails saying the same thing. So they compiled, and you got an email from a high school principal and from a middle school principal. And they wanted me to say, thank you for thinking about an outside-the-box solution that may or may not be a solution. There's a whole bunch of other considerations to it. So they did see that we're trying something, but putting an early release on Monday, they have the same concerns that the elementary schools did, that afternoon fatigue on Friday and getting PLC and PD, that's some heavy work for teachers to do, and leaving that to Friday is difficult. The absentee, if Friday's a short day, we might as well take the whole day and leave early. So they were worried about that. And they're concerned a little bit about the amount of people who coach sports, and on Friday, that's a big day for either practices or games. And so a lot of teachers would be missing those PLC or PD days. So they were concerned about that. And then if teachers got to leave early, reducing that time for PLCs and PDs is one of the things they said, please don't do that ever. We've worked long and hard to get time for PD and PLCs, and taking that time away would be a detriment to our kids. So.
Yes, well, okay, thank you very much. Yeah, no, I noticed that comment, those comments a lot too. That's a prevailing opinion. Okay, Heather, you have been gone and haven't had an opportunity to contribute as much as you would like, so please do go first and express your concerns.
Buckle up. No. I watched the work session in a not very convenient place, but I did sit and watch, and unfortunately missed the last few minutes of the meeting where you created this meeting, and so I thought I'd missed everything altogether. But that being said, I do want to make it clear that when the board met, I was not there. And so when these decisions were made, it was not as me as part of this board. And I have to say I was extremely disappointed and disheartened by how things went, because we had, as a board, collectively decided that our direction was to form a committee that comprised of parents, teachers, PEA representatives, administration, and members of ourself, where we could look at options that, we are surrounded now by multiple options of the 4-day, 5-day hybrid, and that we could sit back and study this decision, because it is so impactful on everyone. And to watch how the discussion became focused on just early release and how great it would be to move it to Friday and teachers would have the time off, it just felt, and I'm trying not to be disrespectful, but it was disingenuous to the decision that we had previously made to make this serious decision. And clearly, by the feedback that now has been flooding in, it seems like, and unfortunately, I feel like this is a little bit of a stain on us, because it shows that we're not as tuned into what happens on a weekly basis in our schools, and the importance of PLC and that professional development time. And I think I thought we were also in agreement that kids belong in school and that they need that education time, and that this isn't just about a free day, either for staff or for students, and that, protecting those with jobs that could be affected by just having a day off, with our classified and certified staff, and our bus drivers, I guess, is the other group. And I'm frustrated thinking that why have we pivoted so far from what we had originally decided to do to now literally putting the cart before the horse, with already coming up and asking our administration to kind of jump through hoops on a decision of a single option that we haven't even really studied, moving that early release. Why have we asked, we asked for the survey and then it was immediately shelved without even the research behind it, the time spent that should be done on this kind of a decision. I guess, and again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I was flabbergasted with how things got us to where we are today. And I'm pleased that we have this special meeting because I think finally I can kind of chime in, but I think we need to scrap what we're doing right now and go back to that original plan where we get the constituents together that have a real skin in this game. This isn't about making a quick knee-jerk reaction and make something in place in September. We need time on this, and I think that was also my understanding. This is the calendar set for next year. We're not doing this next year. Let's form that committee. Let's do the research from the surrounding, District 93. I mean, I understand our PCCS has now made a decision. We now have options to look at, and we haven't done that. We haven't done that, and I think it behooves us to be more responsible than what we've come to today. And my suggestion is that we close this meeting. I don't think what will come out of this without that committee's input and discussion is what is going to need to happen. That's my input.
Okay.
We're too far. Anyway. There you go.
Well, thank you very much for that. I would just say that rather than go into the details of how things got switched around, I think it's just more important to discuss your general concerns and to hear what everyone has to say about that. So Heather has expressed her concerns, and who would like to give some input on that next? If anyone.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, you can go.
I'm the one that made the comment about the cart before the horse, because I felt like it was the same as going to your kids and saying, what do you want for lunch? And then you get 10 different options. I felt like before we surveyed everyone, we needed to have a clear idea of what are we actually asking them. Are we asking them A, B, or C, or are we asking them, give us 70 different options? Because as Marianne said, there are so many to look at. And I wasn't part of the decision to make a survey. I would have voiced that at that time. I would have said, it's not time for that. Like, we have to have more direct choices than just flood us with 20,000 things. That was my thing about the survey, that I didn't get the chance to voice that opinion then, and so I voiced it at the board meeting, that I felt like we were really ahead of ourselves then. And I know I've shared all of this with you guys before, but he told me that I can talk.
Yes, yes, you can talk as
I'm
long
going
as
to
you
share
want.
this with you guys again, some of these things. So my understanding that the discussion came up because the teachers union was asking for us to look into the 4-day versus 5-day to help boost teacher morale. And maybe I misunderstood that wrong from what Marianne said, but that's been my understanding for the past 6 months that this has been a topic. And on that note, I'm going to say that we have all been elected, and therefore we have been delegated to do what we think is best for all the students in the district. And I have stake in the game. I have kids that I also had to find some way for them to be taken care of so I could be here while they're getting home from school. So I share that with some of you out there. But we just felt like this was important enough to not put off this meeting another month, right? And that's how it came to be at this time. So we've been elected and delegated to what we think is best, and I take that really seriously, and I've spent hours researching the pros and cons of a 4- and a 5-day week. And that is how I formatted it. I didn't say, why is a 5-day better, why is a 4-day better? I wanted to look at both angles. And I have shared some of that research. It's in the board docs. If you want it, I'll email it to you, however you guys want it. But I've spent so much time reading this because I think it is a big deal. We have a lot of students we're responsible for, not just my little ones. We have a lot of special ed kids that we are responsible for. And I think we have to find the balance where things work best for everyone in the pool. So I think it's also in board documents, right? The articles
It
that I've
is,
shared?
Renee forwarded all of your
Okay.
articles.
Okay, so
thank
that's also
you.
in board documents.
Thank you for all your research.
So if we're in the business of educating children and preparing them for life after school, then we have to do what is best for the learners, and extending a school day is not the answer. Also, extending a teacher's workday to 9 hours in a day, not the answer. As I've said before, kids' attention spans max out at a certain point. We have all witnessed this. And so to say, let's add 75 more minutes to their already maxed out day does not equal more learning. It actually just equals more time, not more learning. Studies show that over 8 years, the achievement scores drop, and that is from a 2024 Keystone Policy Center study. Oregon State, in this article that I submitted, also has 11 studies that show that achievement scores drop if you go to a 4-day week. So in some cases, it drops a full percent, and our goal every year is to raise them by a half to a full percent. So shortening it down would be counterproductive. Then from the responses that we've received, including from all the school principals, that we did ask, can you guys solicit their responses? And we asked if there was any option to move PLC to another day. I specifically asked for that. Maybe not everybody else, but I'll take that. And what we're hearing back is that that doesn't work, that moving their PLCs. We understand how important and how vital they are. We've heard that. Amy explained it very nicely to us, and we've heard it from the administrators themselves, and I'm sure from teachers. This lady that spoke at the very beginning also talked about how important those were to the teachers. So we really need them, and we want them to have them. And if it does not work to move it to another day, even if early release is Friday, then to me that is out. We don't want to mess up their PLCs so that they aren't functioning well. So if the problem we're trying to solve is that teachers would like more time during the school year, then maybe we need to actually reconvene the calendar committee and say, how can we make this work? Just like the first lady, I need her name. What she said, I don't actually need it, it's okay. She knows I'm talking about her. That maybe we need to look at that calendar committee and adjust things for this coming year. I know on the calendar committee this past year, a lot of conversation was based on, we haven't had a full year to experience this calendar and see how it really works for us. Now we have. And we still have 2.5 weeks left of school this year. But I think maybe that's the direction we need to go, is saying, is our current calendar even working for us? Do we need to survey that on parents and on the schools, so the teachers, the staff, the admins? So do we need to change things there so that the teachers' and parents' voices are heard, and also our learners are getting their quality learning time together?
Okay, I want everybody to have an opportunity to speak at least once on this before somebody speaks a second time.
Can I just ask a question about her research? This is directed to Megan.
Yeah, sure.
So in comparing the 4 to 5 day, was it a 4-day, the 5th day is no school at all?
I did not look at any research on a 5th day, like Bonneville's is like a rotating Monday that they
intervention.
come. I didn't look at any research on that.
Okay.
I honestly don't know if there is any, because I did not look into that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, who would like to express the opinion next? Deanna or Jim?
Go ahead, Jim.
Jim, do you wish to? Or do you,
I don't know that I have,
you don't have to if you don't want to.
you know, I appreciate Megan's research and what she's done with that. And I appreciate her administration, and I know that, you know, they've mentioned a lot of times that they prefer the 5-day week. I mean, like, you know, like it is, and I know that that's not necessarily what everybody wants, but I know that there's, I mean, as you read through them, it's just like everything else we've ever done. It's 50-50 almost. You know, you get so much people say that what's working is working, and then we want to change this, we want to go this way, whatever. I don't know. It's I don't have any.
Okay, no, I understand your point. I'm going to go last, and I understand what you're saying, Jim. Deanna, do you want to make a comment?
Pull your microphone if need
Yeah, I will
Sure.
say, in the videos I watched, you can't hear everybody.
Can't hear it?
Oh,
You
wow.
can't, yeah, it's very, very
I think
hard. So
my
lean in.
volume got turned up, yeah. So
Yeah,
thank you for
Yeah.
mentioning that. Yeah, it's very important.
I will just say that we are looking at different options for the purpose of helping everybody, not making people angry and I hope that that intention is clear. And I would appreciate a discussion where the best intentions of people are assumed. I think it's just more helpful. I think it's just a better discussion. I very much appreciate all the research that you've done, Megan. I have noticed in the research, some of the research, the Oregon State one, there was a difference in what the parents wanted versus teachers, but then also as they looked at it further, they found more things. And there is a difference in what parents want versus what maybe teachers want. I'm open to options. I'm open to whatever is best, whatever, parents and teachers would like and feel is most important and productive. I don't like asking for input and getting really snarky responses. I just don't think that's really helpful. It's okay. It's fine. I mean, it's who you are. But, I appreciate the positive. And we got a lot of very helpful, informative. There's a teacher who taught, kind of polled her students, and most of the students wanted the 4-day, but then she also added in, perspectives of the drawbacks to it. I mean, we just got so many that were so helpful. And, and then some that, talked about just very helpful, very helpful. And that was really what our intention was, is to, could you, share with us things that would help us to make a very good decision that would be best? Well, there isn't one decision that's best for everybody. But, we've tried what we're doing, and if what we're doing is great, I'm also fine with leaving it that way. I will say that I'm fine with putting a survey out there. My impression is that there was a majority of board members who were feeling like that wasn't their concern, moving to a 4-day. And so maybe if we're the board, maybe if the board's concern lies in a different area, then maybe that's what the survey needs to say, kind of like what Megan was referring to. We want to be sure that whatever the survey is what, we are wanting, what the information that we are asking for, we want to be sure that that's what we're asking for, the right information. And there's no right and wrong here. I mean, there are so many people that like both. And there's actually research on both sides. And so when you say the research is equal, the research is, there's research on both sides. And so I think, to be fair, that's also important. But we have gotten feedback from parents on the reason specifically we talked about, changing the early release. It's feedback from parents, too, and we recognize that feedback from parents is different than feedback from teachers, and that's also great. It's good to have all of it. And now we know when we get feedback from parents, we have a very clear reason why it's on Monday. We can very clearly say, it's on Monday because that is when the teachers, almost every teacher, there's a few that would prefer it, the other way, but by and large, the teachers wanted that, and that's why. And so it's easy for us to then, now we really have that information and we can really, share that. I don't really have anything else to say other than I did, spend a lot of time. If we want to, I think that we need, as a board, to decide what options are we considering. Jim doesn't want to consider a 4-day. Megan doesn't want to consider a 4-day, and I don't believe Ray wants to consider a 4-day.
Well, I'll speak for myself a little bit.
Okay. And so, I guess what we're trying to arrive at is,
Do I have?
what would, I mean, if we're looking at the majority of the board, I'm willing to consider other options, But if that isn't what the majority of the board would like to consider, maybe we ought to think about what the majority of the board would like to consider, and I'm also fine with that.
Right, and that's why
Yeah.
we're here today. I'll make a comment, and then we'll open it up for a second round. And so I just want to piggyback a little bit on what Jim and you said. And overwhelmingly, we've received input that moving the early release to Friday just isn't going to work. It's going to adversely affect PLC and PD, and I think that's pretty obvious. And so we certainly don't want, in all cases, do no harm, and the last thing we want to do is any harm. So I think that's kind of, as far as I'm concerned, that, we should not do that. We've had overwhelming input on that is adverse, and it's going to harm the teachers, and we have far more detriments than benefits from doing that. In regards to what Jim said, I think he pretty much summarized why we kind of headed in this direction. And that was that, this is it's an important decision, and so that's why I solicited input from all of the administrators, and for a variety of reasons, they all seem to support the 5-day week. Is that a fair assessment, Superintendent?
I would say at the district level, that
Yeah.
is a correct statement. Generally, I would say that would apply to building level administrators as well. But we specifically asked them about the move of the PLC time from Monday to,
Yeah.
but
That's
I would say generally speaking, it would be.
Yeah, and that's kind of like where we went in that direction, because to piggyback on what Jim said, my goodness gracious, we've received an enormous amount of input here, and it's spread all over the place, and maybe it's 50-50 or whatever. And so based upon, and so just as a group, and Heather, you were not here, unfortunately, but that's what kind of led us in this direction, that we were going to have a variety of different inputs, that we seem to have a consensus from district-level administration and building administration that the 5-day week was working well. And as Jim said, and I don't want to speak too much for it, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Things seem to be working pretty well as they were. And so in an effort to streamline things, and that's kind of like where we reached this point. Having said all of that, we did not reach a decision, and we allowed this meeting to take place. And so that's how we got here. And now we have a general overview of why people think what they think. In general, I would have to say that my opinion is fairly well summarized by Deanna. I do think that the 5-day work week seems to have overwhelming support from district level and building administration, and that it is working well, and that it is not really broken. But we can have a further discussion about that now that Heather has come back. And I would say those are that's my feedback on what happened and why it happened. So we'll
I just have just a very small.
yeah, sure, go.
I just wanted to clarify, the feedback we got from the district and the district level administration was really centered on changing the PD, the professional development. It really wasn't based on a 4-day versus a 5-day versus a hybrid.
Okay.
We were very, very, very specific, and that's why we wanted this short meeting to just get that input quickly, so that when we move on, we aren't basing anything on something that, we want to base it on
Yeah.
fast.
Okay, yeah, I guess what I would,
So,
I would say also too, kind of like my opinion was basically informed upon the input I'm receiving as how this is going to affect our special needs students, and the input we got from Janelle and from research that I think that Megan presented. And we had this discussion before, if I may just finish.
Sure.
And then you'll have the next chance. I just seem to get a lot of input from people saying that they're concerned about that, and it's not just about food. It's about the continuity and of the instruction. I've heard a lot about that, and in the comments I've read from today, just recently submitted today, and from others, that there's a real concern that going to a 4-day week would adversely affect our kids who have the most need of our help as a public school system. And so, again, my philosophy is, basically like the Hippocratic Oath, in all cases, do no harm. And if there's a possibility that it's going to harm those people those learners we have that have the highest needs, then that's a concern of mine. Heather.
A lot of things rattling around in my head. So 2 things come to mind. Number one, a comment that had been made at the work session was that, here it was on the agenda and we had received no feedback. Clearly that set off an alarm and we were inundated with a lot of feedback. I think one of the issues is that we have not done our research. And yes, I appreciate what Megan has done, but I think we all were in agreement, not just the majority, but I think the full board was in agreement that we're not looking for just shutting down on day 5 and having nothing. I think that was the consensus, certainly. But what I had asked for, and I thought we had been in agreement, is that we would form this committee that did the research on the multiple options that are out there that are currently in effect. The beauty is that some of these other districts have implemented changes and know some of the pitfalls of American Falls, for instance, District 93, the things that are working for innovation. I think that's one thing I had heard from teachers is that's what they want, not the time off. They want time with those kids that need that extra help, that they have no time to provide for them. In my opinion, I think what would have been helpful with a survey, perhaps it came after the committee's suggestion, after they come forward with 2 or 3 options that might work for our district based on input from administrators and from teachers and parents. Then we put forward that survey to parents and say, okay, is this the kind of thing that's going to work? I think there was one of the comments I read from a special needs family member that said that even having that day available for their appointments and for some of the extra things that their student needs that they are not able to get to. So I don't think it's a straight but again, I'm not the professional, and as Megan, you mentioned, we represent our constituents. We should be listening, and I feel like so much of what we're kind of talking about is somewhat personal preference. And I just feel like we've got more due diligence to do, to just immediately say, we're sticking with 5-day because it's not broken. I agree. It isn't broken necessarily, but there are some concerns. And I think if we want to remain competitive in our community, it behooves us to do that deeper research and find out what options are available, what really could work, not just focus on, and again, like you admitted, that's all that was presented to the administration is moving PLC. And I agree that doesn't make sense to have done because it doesn't solve anything. If anything has been presented, creates more problems. I would propose that we go back to our original decision, pull together that committee and really do not just, the broad level research, but let's research here in our community what is working, what isn't working. And at the end of the day, we may just say what we have today works, but I think it behooves us to do that deeper dive and not just rely on our own personal preferences or I don't know. I just feel like it would make me more comfortable in responding to those in my district or anyone else that responds to me to say, you know what, we really unearthed this. We know what the pros and cons are, and the consensus we came to was this, and this is why, versus just kind of spitballing. I'm just, anyway, that's where I'm at.
Okay, well, I think,
And I think most would agree with that. I mean, is research not what we want? Real feedback, not just waiting for the snarky comments to come in from just a,
yeah, I guess that's the snarky comments are a topic for another day, but I would agree. That's one of the things about anonymous is that you get a lot of, and at least people are responsible for what they say. That's another reason not to be anonymous. But that's off the agenda, and we're not going to talk, but that's a good point. I believe that Deanna had her hand up first. As regards.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Oh, okay, make it.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Go ahead.
Good with you going in order. You're fine.
Okay, whoever.
You're in charge.
Very well, Megan, go ahead.
I would agree with Heather. I think at this point that we've had enough information coming that convening a committee together and saying, here's things that we can research and look into and, actually take some time and deep dive into stuff. I think that would work well for us. I still stand behind my comment that if the current calendar is not working for us, then maybe we look at it before this next year and say, are there some small tweaks that we need to make before this next year starts, based on us experiencing this later start, later end flip?
Uh-huh. Deanna?
I love that idea of looking at the calendar. We've had an opportunity to experience the full calendar, and that was what was decided on before, and so that's fine. We've had the opportunity. Now everyone has really kind of been able to see how that worked, and I think that it would be great to reconvene, but then that would also, to get feedback, would require a survey, which would also require people to be in school, because I don't think that we can really get in touch with people when school's not in session, so that creates kind of a bit of a hard thing, because I think sending a survey in the summer, I don't know if that's really, I don't know if that's effective or not. Maybe it is. But like I said, I am open to options and open to feedback, and positive, helpful is the nicest, and disagreement is great and it's fine, but but also in a way that is constructive is, I think, very helpful. So my opinion is we should do a survey. If we're gonna do a survey, it needs to be when school is in session, so I think it might be a little bit late to do that this year, but maybe not, whatever you guys think. So maybe the survey would be beginning of the year, when kind of it's the new group of people who are there and more engaged, possibly. I have an opinion about how the survey should look and should flow.
I'm sorry, and the survey, I'm confused at what.
A survey, but we have
Content.
to,
But what is the content on the four-day or the calendar?
That's.
I don't understand what.
What I would like to do is let's.
I just
divert-
am asking for
Yeah, no,
clarification.
let's divert from the survey there for a little bit, because what I want to hear more is about the committee. And so then Megan said that you'd be in favor of a committee?
Heather made very.
Okay, yeah, okay, and so, Deanna, what do you think about that?
I think that we should do a survey first so that they have that body of information, and then when the committee is convened, they have something to look at.
Okay.
I think it would be helpful for them to have that to look at.
Jim, do you wish to express an opinion on this?
Well, I had some thoughts, I don't know where they went to, but, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with having a committee or a survey, but I don't think we have enough time to be able to put all that together and make a change to our current calendar for next year.
No.
I think it's in place, and I think it should, but we could look at, having a lot of looks for the calendar for the 27, 28 school year.
Okay.
I don't think,
So,
I do want to clarify.
I think it
Okay.
would be pushing things right now. That's my opinion. I think it'd be pushing things to try to make a change for this next upcoming year. Maybe not. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but. And I have, the other opinion I have is if we're gonna make a change, my opinion is either stick with the 5 days just like it is, or go to a strictly 4 days and not the hybrid, you know, how they do a day here and a day whatever. And maybe, I don't know, I mean, they talk about, well, having that extra day for the kids to come in, and the teacher's there, and they can help them out. But don't the kids have a flex class? They call it a flex class, that they can go to their teacher that they're having problems with, and
In our middle school, we do. Yeah, it's an intervention.
it's just in the middle school.
essentially. And those that are a little bit further ahead take sort of an elective type of course at that time.
So they kind of have that option right now. I know in Bonneville that they have to turn in the kids' name by Thursday or by Friday, so that they know which kids have to come in on Monday, and the teachers are there to help them. And so it kind of gives them an incentive to do well, so that they don't have to come in on Monday. And I don't know how well that works, but I just know that that's how it goes about it. My opinion would be is if we're going to go to 4 days, I think it ought to just be 4 days. And then otherwise, I think keep 5 days, and I think we have a program that works pretty good. So,
but you're not in opposition to a committee, or you think, well,
I guess committee would be okay.
you're saying it's okay? I guess just to summarize, so I get a turn here too, it's just that I think one of the things is that kind of the decision was made that, a consensus was kind of reached, we were going to look at the 4-day versus 5-day first, and that would kind of facilitate the committee. And I think that's how that sort of thing came about. As far as the committee is concerned, I mean, I'm all for transparency. I'm all for public input. I think we need more of that, and a committee would only facilitate that. And so if people are, we have a couple of people who are willing to serve on that committee, and I think that there's a lot of benefit and no harm in certainly forming a committee. I guess the question now is whether or not a survey goes out first, and the content of that survey or whatever. I mean, does that sound like a fair consensus? Go ahead.
I just
I'm sorry,
wanted
you
to
didn't get a
correct.
chance. You
Well,
didn't get a chance.
I just wanted to correct something that Jim said. We have never, ever discussed this in regards to this coming school year. The only thing we just talked about in regards to this coming school year, which is the purpose of this meeting, is if we were just changing the PD day. That's it. We would not change from a 4 to a 5 day, like right now. That's never been the point. The point is that we wanted to start very early and have plenty of time to think about it, talk about it, do whatever we want to do, so that the next year it would go into effect.
Right.
So that, I just wanted to clarify that, because sometimes people take that comment and they say, oh, you're rushing. No, this isn't about rushing anything. But I also will say that I feel like we're getting bogged down in this, and my biggest priority is changing from trimesters to semesters. And so my opinion is, if we want a committee for this, we want to take all this time for this, that's fine. But I want the other committee at the same time, because they're really completely different. They're completely different considerations. And they do affect each other. Either that, or we set a time limit on this, and we are done by a certain date, so we can then revisit the semester. Because if we don't talk, we've been talking about changing from a trimester to semester. Already we've been talking about it. And if we put it off, then we won't be able to by the 27-28 school year. And I feel like that's what's happening here, is that is more of a concern to me right now than this, which I've said.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
And so if we want to do this first, that's fine, but I think it needs to have a deadline so we can then move on to the other one before, in plenty of time. So if that is something that we decide to do, that we have a chance to do it and we haven't wasted all of our time.
So clarifying, Doug, would you mind addressing that? I can't imagine that they are two separate conversations. That they kind of have to coincide, do they not?
They do, and
I'd like to
yeah.
hear from Superintendent
Thank
Howell,
you.
please.
Yes, and that's, I was just writing myself a note, so after the board was done working through that, then I could make a comment.
Please do.
Please.
But I think they do go a little bit of hand in hand, but once we get a schedule established, if we were to say, look at the semester, now we're going to maybe block scheduling, if we want to keep the same amount of graduation requirements. Soon as you go to a block schedule, now how does that affect your Friday? So I can see where Mrs. Judy's coming from. So a timeline of either an end date to this discussion, to move forward with the next one, and then see where it comes together, where they merge, or maybe they work alongside one of another, or maybe it's the same committee with two different tasks. I don't know what that looks like, but it's definitely, they will blend.
They have
at
to
some
blend,
point.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I would
I
agree.
agree with that.
Yeah, and if I could, while I just have the mic, I'd like to comment on the survey. If we turn the clock back a week ago to last Tuesday, and we were doing the introduction of this survey, which was requested to be put on the agenda, and so my team put that together in about a week. And we brought that forward, and we just asked, we paused, but we were asking the question, we need to develop our why. We really need to say what our why is. And there was concern on our part that if you just put out this generic survey, then people are answering it in whatever mindset they're in. Well, I'm going to have my Fridays off. I will never have to work a Friday. So I'm all in on that. But maybe if there's the other consideration like Jim talked about, if there's an intervention and how that affects my schedule. Is it the special ed, some of our kids that are a little bit lacking? Do they get all of their service hours in? So I think there's an education component to this that the committee could flesh out, and maybe, again, just present that as options through the survey itself.
Right.
Rather than we just blanket it, as Megan said, with, what was it, choices for dinner or
Yeah,
whatever it was.
yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have as much input from all these varied sources and varied mindsets, rather than give them a focus and say,
Right.
this is what we're thinking, what would you consider, or tell us your feedback about a couple different options, rather than pie in the sky, everything's open, because that's what you're gonna get back.
Because I don't even know. I can
Yeah.
tell you I don't even know what our why is. I
Well-
mean, other than everyone else is doing it, and that's not a
Yeah.
real good why.
Well,
I want to know what the options are.
just to kind of like piggyback on what Doug said and what Deanna said. I mean, again, I think that's where we're looking for a little more direction, and that's why we kind of reached the decision that we wanted to look at the 4-day, 5-day first, and that would help clarify things as Doug explained. Also, too, we were not planning to do anything for this year, as Deanna said. That's
Right.
absolutely correct. This was planning ahead for next year, and I would agree also that perhaps the more difficult issue is the trimester versus semester, but as Doug says, it's kind of based on getting some information first on the 4 or 5 day. So that's kind of how we got here. And so we're all in an understanding of how we got here, and so now might be a good time to decide how we want to move forward.
Yeah, I do have a
Well, please
suggestion.
do, please do.
I love what you said, Doug. I 100% support that. I think that doing this committee, because we talked about that, talking about the different options, because we need a very clear, and no one's going to just hand it to us and say, oh, here are your options. We're coming up with the options. And that was another concern I had with some of the emails, like, well, we're asking for options. We are coming up with the options. They're not given to us. And so I think having that committee would be very, very helpful and important. And so I guess my question is is if we do that committee, would we start at the beginning of the year next year? And I do like the idea of maybe having it be looking at both options, because there are so many things that affect both. But but we had talking about the 4 to 5 day first, to make sure that, I don't want things to get really muddy and then have this, fruitcake, instead of a nicely baked cake, with layers. Let's do one layer first, then do another layer. And yeah, it goes together, but I don't want it to be all jumbled up and maybe not have a good outcome. So I agree with maybe doing this first, but having a time limit on it. And whether it's the same, the same people can apply to be on the committee again, but maybe it should be a different committee just to allow more people the option.
Well,
Maybe
well,
it
we're
should be
talking,
the same.
we're talking about an ad hoc committee, so it would be different from the regular calendar committee.
Yes.
Oh, no, I was
Oh, okay, I thought maybe.
scratching my eye.
Okay,
But
good.
I'm glad we're in agreement.
Yeah. So, yeah, and it does help if people say my name, because sometimes I don't see if your hand or you're
Yeah,
scratching
no,
your eye.
I could hit my leg.
And if somebody just says Ray, or, yeah, the lights, I'll even look for the lights.
There
We
you
have
go.
lights here, turn them on, and that's a little easier for things. Okay, so then I think then, there's kind of a consensus that nobody's really opposed to a committee, and that the committee is good. It's good for transparency. It's good for input. Is that an accurate evaluation? Anybody really opposed to forming a committee?
I think we've seen it work well in the past with some of our.
Okay, and so I think
I'm
we,
not opposed.
okay, I think we have a consensus there. We're going to form a
Awesome.
committee. Now, the next question is it going to facilitate things or make it more difficult to have a survey first? And what would be the content of that survey? So,
I
Deanna,
like what Doug said. Maybe the committee comes first so that we can develop the survey.
the committee comes
I-
first.
I
Mhm.
don't
agree.
like
You agree?
the way
I agree.
that, yeah. I think
And
it
Megan
should
agrees
come
as
first.
well. Okay,
Yeah.
Do you
all
agree?
right.
And
Mr.
so
Chair,
maybe we should-
Sorry.
Well, wait,
We're going out of order.
yeah, well, please, these guys, please wait here,
I asked them if the survey timeline comes up, if they would just be prepared to come forward so we could help the board with that decision.
Oh, okay, but, yeah, so
But you
then,
all talk first.
yeah, so, I mean,
But I do think the committee.
okay, so
should
Megan
come
says
first.
survey, yes?
Do you think the survey should come first?
No,
No,
that was my complaint last time.
oh, okay,
Okay.
I
okay,
think the committee needs to get together and do research before we decide what we need to be asking in our survey.
okay, but we're going to have a survey, but we want the committee first.
Yes.
Okay, Deanna,
Yeah,
you agree with Megan?
yep.
Heather, what do you think?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good.
And that's
Well,
beginning.
that's what we shall do. We shall have
I
the
would
committee
like to hear
first.
From,
Yeah, no, we will hear from them. But we're going to have the committee first and then the survey. So now, please do offer your input for the
Okay,
board.
so I really love how Doug just enveloped the survey. And Deanna, you used a perfect analogy of making a cake. So if you're watching a cooking show and you're following along and you know exactly where you are, what the next step is, and where you're headed. And I really feel like we owe it to our community to approach this conversation just like that. And I think having a committee that defines the survey and defines the why, and then defines the definitions. The draft that was presented to you wasn't perfect. It was just a draft that was, we were seeking input and further direction on. But having definitions and having the opportunity to educate our community about what the topic is so that they can, we all need to have a really shared baseline understanding of what the topic is so that when we do ask the survey questions, we are getting the information back that is going to help inform your decisions. And so that would be my recommendation, is do the committee, but also let's do some tangential communications with our community so that they know that opportunity for input is coming and that they can prepare themselves by doing some self-education on it along with that work.
Okay. Well, let's see what, okay, yeah, no.
No, just about the survey.
Yeah, okay, so then, any comments regarding what Courtney had to say there?
Yes, I just.
Sounds
had
good.
Yeah, I just had the survey, I would like it to be very much like our current option concerns. this option concerns, this option concerns. Very, very defined like that, so that all the same questions are being asked about each option. So that it's very clear that this is more difficult on this option, but this is better. You know, because the same questions are being asked about each different option. You know, how does it affect you these ways? How does it affect you these ways? About each of the options, whatever the options are that we
Right.
decide to come up with, which I don't think have been defined, and that's been a frustration
Yeah,
for
okay.
everyone.
Well, no, I think, we've got a consensus. We need to form a committee, and one of the main things about the committee is to look at the survey and prepare the public to offer good input, et cetera. AJ?
And just to add to that, I agree with, Courtney did a very good job of discussing and sharing the reason as to why. But I think that also with the committee piece, there needs to be a defined why as to what we're looking at. I think there's different reasons for different calendars and why you may choose to look at a 4-day versus a 5-day, but also being very clear with the committee in terms of the why it is being considered and what the purpose is for that. So if that's direction from the board, if that's direction from administration, however you would like us to look at that, but I think that needs to be defined as well with the committee.
Okay.
And I think you could have a framework of a survey for that committee to review so that you can further refine it, so that you're not just starting from scratch and grasping for air. And I didn't get a chance to really review the survey that you submitted in depth because we had about an hour, but there are some similarities between the two survey drafts. And I think that, using those as a starting point and blending the best of each in that collaborative spirit is a really great start.
Yes.
Okay. All right, then. So then, okay, so then we need to start talking about how we're going to form this committee. Thank you very much. Yes,
I have one suggestion.
sure.
And maybe we can just say for this committee, what are our priorities? I would say that first one is education.
Yeah,
What is in the best interest of the kids, not the parents,
yeah.
not the teachers, not the schedules, not the sports, not anything else. The kids.
Yeah,
That is why we're here. And so I think what is in the best option of the kids in terms of education? And then maybe go from there and then say, what about the mental, social, emotional
right.
thing?
No,
Maybe-
it's all
So
about.
I would suggest those two first and second, so.
I think we if
Yes,
I
please do.
may, I think our first priority right now should be who is on this committee, how the selection is made, and then I think it behooves whoever's going to chair that committee, and I don't know, is that an AJ? Is that much like, when he chairs finance, sorry, my brain is, Jonathan, when he chairs, I think that it would behoove the chairman of then that committee to set those, obviously, we can provide our input, but then they would make sure that any conversations or goals align with ours as well in those ways. But I think right now, the formation of the committee and the makeup of the committee would be how, and I think how we've done, like the Highland, where we had so many parents, and how we had people solicit and apply for the position. I think once we put it out there, there's going to be quite a few that will be interested. And then how we hone that down to however we did the jar. Everybody picked their top 3, and then we
I like that.
randomly, each
Yeah.
person, and then whoever got, that seemed to have worked.
I think that
That
worked
would be
well,
my
yeah.
proposal.
Deanna,
I would say that we need to do the goals first.
goals first and then the
Yes,
committee.
because like what Courtney said, give them, and what AJ said, they need to have a clear idea of what the parameters are, what the goals are, and so that, because our board goals, we have already decided on our board goals, and that, maybe we could just like dump them into the committee, whatever. But we have to have our priorities very clear, because maybe the survey goes out and, well, it's just so much more convenient for us, and that comes back, so, everyone is
think we've-
overwhelming, saying it's just so much more convenient that we just want to do it this way. Well, that's not the order of our priorities. The order of our priorities is first the education of the kids.
Yeah, no, I think you make a
So-
good point. the school board's priorities should be an important part of guiding the committee, but we do need to form the committee. But Megan, your thoughts on this? Regards to goals and committee formation and the order of such?
Agreed.
Yeah, you,
No, I mean, I think it's important that we set out a couple goals. I think we have talked quite often about how we like committees to be made up. We want 50%
yeah,
school and 50% community, and so I don't think that will be hard.
right, but we want to give a structure of goals before
Yeah.
we even select the committee. Okay, you and Deanna
Yep.
feel that way? Jim, any opinion on the matter? No. Heather?
I just think we form the committee, and then we have, obviously, our straw man sketch of that, but then you get together with a committee and have that discussion and narrow in on the goals. I mean, it's.
I would say I'm going to have to side with these guys. I think as far as
It's-
broad goals,
Mm-hmm.
and then, of course, once the committee is formed, it can be a little more granular.
Then it's the objectives, right?
Okay,
However, the
yeah,
the
okay.
hierarchy of goal
Okay,
setting is.
okay, good. We have a consensus
Yeah,
there?
and I do.
I think
yeah,
we're on
and
the same page. I just don't know that we're going to do it today.
Huh?
Yeah, on our board policy
Yeah,
for
yeah.
committees,
Yeah,
you have to define
yeah,
what the goal is.
Yeah.
You define the duration of the committee, the makeup of the committee, all of that has to be defined when the committee is put together. And I would definitely make a focus on the duration.
yeah.
And so,
No, that's good.
but I have an idea for the makeup of the committee. 5 parents from elementary, 5 parents from middle and high school, 3 teachers from elementary, 3 teachers from middle, and then district administration and 2 board members. And making sure that half of that is the parents, because I have right here 10, 11, 12, 13, 16 for the, no, I have 10 for the parents, and then 9, 10 to 11 for the school, and then in addition to that is the board members. And we're supposed to be representing everybody. So I don't know that we should be, say, we're on the school side, we're on the parent side. We're not on, we're representing everybody. Anyway, that's just something I just wrote down, but we.
So about 20.
Yeah, I mean, I just a suggestion, we could all just kind of submit a suggestion if you want, and then decide, but just kind of based on what our other committees have been, and I do like the way that we put out the idea, and everyone equally has the opportunity to participate and submit, just like what we had said, on the Highland Rebuild Committee. I felt like it worked really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we narrowed that down, because, and we did get a really good balance of, we had some different people on the committee with different priorities, and that was very helpful.
Okay. Comments on what Deanna just said, Megan?
Yeah, might I make a suggestion? I know a lot of talk has been around the businesses and the benefit to the businesses. So I think having, who would that be that represent the businesses, the impact on businesses on Friday? Like, would they actually be able to employ kids? Would they actually, would it be overwhelming to them? Like, those kinds of things. Who would represent that? Is there a city guy?
I think between Courtney and I, we could identify who that person may be. Immediately, Matt comes to mind. He's the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, but I don't know if his time would allow, but he could certainly give us suggestions, and we could pursue that.
I do have an opinion on that. I would welcome his suggestion, but I would want it to be the parents that the parents understand, the kids that need to work, and the kids, they understand those needs. And so I would welcome the input from all businesses, like everybody would be welcome to share input. I don't think it needs to be a member of the committee. I think that we need to keep it's got to be what's in the best interest of the kids, first and foremost, of the students, and the parents would, I think, represent that first, and then second, teachers and the district would very adequately represent their needs.
I hope that's not my fault.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, sure.
Well, then I think maybe we just need to say we want to solicit these people's opinions. We need to know from them if this is even a thing, if they could actually, because that was one of the responses I read a lot in here, was like, I could work on Fridays. Is that really a possibility? Like, that's something I would want to know
Okay,
out of that.
Totally agree.
all right. Heather?
I know with the Highland Committee, it became a bit unwieldy with so many people. So I think we need to take maybe instead of 5 parents from each, maybe 3. But other than that, I think her suggestions of for the committee makeup make sense.
Okay, Jim, any comments?
Sorry, I don't.
Okay. All right, so that we're honing in now on numbers of people in the committee. Okay, so you said, please repeat again, you want 5 parents
I just said 5 elementary because it spans 6 years.
and 5
then
middle and high
5 middle
school?
and high school because it also spans, it's kind of a different, perspective. And then, and we can separate that further as far as the middle and high school, but just 5 that represent the upper.
What if you had a parent that overlapped those? Do you need them
There
in?
probably would be parents on all of them that
Right,
would
right.
overlap. So when we go to choose the parents, I think that would be a really good consideration, like, oh, this is a person that has somebody in all 3. And even though they applied for the middle, high school, there would be a good option to have them there. So, anyway,
And then 3 teachers elementary, 3 teachers middle, and district and administration,
whoever is-
and 2 board members. Megan, your thoughts?
I mean, it's just, I just want to move forward.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's why I'm.
Well,
I made that
once again,
suggestion.
that's why we're taking our time, and everyone's going to have an opportunity. And I mean, my whole philosophy as presiding officer is I don't want to limit debate. I'm sorry if sometimes things maybe run a little long. I want to keep things as concise and as efficient as possible, but I want to make sure we have a thorough discussion. Everyone has a fair opportunity to give their input, and so,
Thank you.
yeah. So, Megan.
My only concern is that I would, like, with the teachers, I would like at least one admin somewhere to represent.
Are the admins on there?
Like maybe 2 and 1,
Yeah.
and 2 and 1 or
Yeah.
something.
So you had 3 teachers, and you mean one of them be a
Admin.
administrator?
Yeah.
Oh, scheduling is going to be a bear with all of that, but, no, I mean, I think it's important, but that'll be a real challenge with that many people. Is it possible to ask a comment from Mary Ann if that's a proper representation from teachers?
If there's no objection?
No, I'm okay.
Oh, Mary Ann, please do. Yeah.
Because I know you've expressed interest in,
Yeah, so what's your question?
well, if this was the makeup of the committee, do you feel like that would be a proper representation for teachers?
If you had 5 parents from each grade, or from grade band,
Yeah, every grade. No.
and then 3 teachers from,
So it would end up being 2
2
teachers
teachers and an admin from each band. You're looking at a committee right now of almost 25 people.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot. I think that would be fine. I think also we should add classified staff members because that they will be impacted as well.
Yeah, good point.
So in the district admin, we would want the classified represented, like Jonathan would represent classified.
Well, whether it's a food service individual, someone from food service,
Yeah.
and someone from busing, because those probably will be the most impacted.
I think Jonathan's dying to be on another committee.
That's just what he wants. I can tell. I can see the enthusiasm from here.
I just appreciate the representation, whether it be me or one of my coordinators or even the frontline staff. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
that
Hey,
would-
Jim, anytime you want to chime in. But I don't want to put.
on his way out.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot.
mean,
I just feel free to, if you
So
want to chime in,
district
just,
admin, and So we want to have.
I just hope we don't make that committee too big,
classified,
because then you get too many opinions. And
okay.
Rep, and then, of course,
Let's not
one of those
have,
have to be classified.
okay, let's not have
One
several
of the
discussions going on at the same time here.
Okay, and then probably Sue and AJ, I would assume.
Okay, so now these 2 guys, okay, what have you come up with, and then we'll hear what the others have to say.
So district, as far as district admin, a classified representative, and then Sue and AJ, so that we have representation from both. You know, the upper, the lower, and then the classified. So, for the, as far as district. You like that?
Megan, you had a look at that. What do you think of what she said? Megan says, okay. Hand that over and let's let these guys take a look at it.
And you can write on it and cross stuff out or whatever. I just want it to be done.
Then maybe, just so it doesn't become so wieldy, do you just do 3 parents?
I want more parents. Because
think
otherwise it
scheduling,
doesn't
it'll be
end
very
up being
difficult.
50% parents.
Megan, 5 or 3?
Well, that's what it is. It makes the 10 parents make it 50-50 with.
I see.
Uh-huh.
She
It's just
grouped
10.
Oh, she's
she grouped
putting
the
middle and
secondary
high
together
school.
and then the elementary.
Yeah, they were combined.
And we could change that. We can
Okay,
do
I
4
thought you were
and
talking
6.
5, 5, and 5. I thought you were talking 15 parents.
No,
No,
we
no,
could
no.
do like
I see
4 and then 6. So we
Gotcha.
could do like 4 from elementary, 3 from middle, 3 from high. You know, like we could do it like that instead.
Jim's
Okay,
not
that-
hungry for this, so.
Okay, that clarifies things for me. I
Okay.
thought you were talking
Do you wanna
15
do the
parents.
4 and
Well-
then the 3 and 3?
No, I like the 5.
No, she 5, we all agreed to 5 are okay.
Okay.
5
Okay.
of you.
Do we need,
All right, okay.
Sorry, can I throw my 2 cents?
Yeah, sure, you bet.
Would you mind just making sure one of those teacher positions is a special programs teacher?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, positively, absolutely. Yes, no, thank you very much. That's a very
Ray
good.
is all. in.
I am all in on that,
And you knew
absolutely.
he would be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, these are our neediest people, I mean, and.
Right.
Okay, so if that looks okay, then that's what we shall do.
And then we'll just make sure that one of these
Pass it to
teachers,
Tara, is
when we, and we have to also decide how we choose them, because the board decides.
Yeah, oh,
The
no,
board- the board
yeah, let's talk
selects.
about that, because I thought that was real nice. We had the lottery and we
well,
picked them.
they applied, and I can't remember what some of the
We had 2
questions were.
choices each. We each gave.
Right, but they had to apply and give a stipulation as to, it was part of the curriculum committee, I don't know if anybody's still here, but there was a question as to why you want to
Yeah,
be on
yeah.
the
They
committee.
explained why, and then we looked at them and we picked 2 each, and then that's how, I like that.
Why,
Just set a
and then-
deadline of, like, we can put the survey
soon?
together, right? It's just a couple of questions. Ask them if they're elementary, middle school, high school parent, and then give a deadline of when that survey needs to be submitted by. And then we can pull them all together.
And their
then you-
background and why they want to be on the
Can it
committee.
be done before the end of school year, or is that asking too much?
I thought we would,
Where's Courtney?
If I may?
Yes, you may.
I would like to see this start in the early fall.
In the fall?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
that
think
probably
as-
makes more
as
sense.
Judy
People are,
pointed out, summertime comes and schedules don't allow, and we might exclude people who might be viable candidates. And so we just pick it up in the fall. I like her suggestion too of cutting it off, I would say no later than the end of November, 1st of November. Did I say that twice? End of October, 1st of November, somewhere in there, because the calendar committee will meet. We were actually thinking we would do that earlier next year, but I do like the idea of wrapping it up so that the board can make their decision, any other final thoughts and comments, and then we can move along.
Okay,
I do have one.
yeah.
I would like both decisions to be wrapped up by October, November. You know, the semester and this, it all coordinates together. And the semester, like I said, the
I don't think
trimester
that's what he
versus
said.
semester, the trimester versus semester is my priority. And
You're-
I
you're-
feel like this is taking a very long time. And that's why I wanted a very clear deadline, because we can get input in a month, month and a half, 6 weeks. We can get all the input and get it processed and everything. So if we say, you know, we start the committee beginning of
suggesting that
August when the
committee
school
be
starts,
not the decision.
and we wrap it up mid-September,
she's
so then
misunderstanding.
we're, you know, and then we either the same committee or another committee, and then we do another 6 weeks. So we have 2 6-week committees. And I realize it would have to be very focused on it, but it's because this is taking so long to get to this point. And I feel like the decision about the trimester versus semester keeps being put off, and I'm not comfortable with that.
Heather had maybe a
just-
clarification.
You're suggesting the committee be picked by the end of October, not the decision made.
No, I was thinking this decision. Yeah.
Oh, so I'm wrong.
Right,
Okay.
right, that's what we were looking
End of
at.
Oh,
September.
like.
Okay.
We could solicit folks,
I see.
volunteers
Thank
to
you.
serve on the committee in August when everyone's focused on back
Okay.
to school. And then get that committee rolling just after Labor Day and maybe by the end of October.
Okay.
Right.
I like that. I totally missed that.
Okay, so then, let me just see if I summarize, so we all are aware of any consensus we might reach.
If we're focused.
That's, so,
And we can change it. but-
Yep.
so we decided pretty much on the structure of the committee, and we want to start that process. But given the proviso, that the goals are going to be stipulated by the board. You know, but the committee can start forming, and we can decide on the goals that they're to concentrate on. And so we have the five parents from elementary, 5 parents from combined middle and high school, 3 teachers from elementary, including at least 1 special services, 3 teachers from the middle school, district admin, also represented, classified representatives, and 2 board members. Okay, yeah.
I think it's 3 teachers from the high school, 3 from the elementary, but we want, out of those certificated, we want 2 admins.
Okay.
Oh, yes,
Right?
I didn't write that down,
Okay.
so, yeah. Well, we could even do 1 admin, 1 special services, because then we have everybody represented. Because the admin can reach out to all the admin,
Yeah,
you know, like the admin meetings
yep.
or whatever.
Okay, then I guess I don't know if this has to be decided now or not. We've got a good framework to move forward here. 2 trustees on the committee. Do we want to talk about who's interested in that? Or do we want to defer that for another day?
I'm interested, but,
I think we should defer it.
yeah, we can wait either way.
Megan, what do you think?
Right, Jim's
Yeah.
replacement might
Oh,
have
oh,
some
oh,
experience, or I would
Well,
prefer
yeah.
to defer.
I think waiting is great. Like, when we organize the whole thing, then we can all chime in on who wants to be on that committee, too.
Deanna?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good. All right, then. So that is what we shall do. We shall start the formation of the committee based upon this. It's all recorded, and I think everybody understands. If they have any questions, they can clarify it. And, you know,
And
the step, it's going to be, we're going to come up with the goals that are going to direct that committee, and we're going to decide on the 2 trustees later.
Very good.
All right.
Can one more?
Yeah, sure.
Can all of the board members just kind of email the goals that you feel like would be good, maybe 4, 5? Like, these are general, you know, so we can say, okay, let's go back to our goals. Does it meet, is this our first priority is education, obviously? You know,
Obviously,
But
yeah.
are we putting convenience above that? Oh, we need to make sure our priorities are in line, you know?
Okay.
So could we just all email that? And then any feedback on this also, so that by the time we meet for our next work session, we kind of have this framework, we have a framework for goals, then we can always discuss and change and add.
So then, you know, okay, so then you're suggesting, so we have a work session next month.
We do not.
We do not,
Would either
no,
be a special
not in
meeting-
June, not in
No, we try
July?
to give you a little bit of a break there.
We have every year, I've been on the board, we have had them,
Yeah.
we have had the meetings.
Well, I guess the
We
question
haven't
is
deferred,
then, do
so
we
can-
do
I
we
feel
want
like-
to?
I feel like we
My
need.
traveling is done for
I-
now,
so
so
I
So
feel
you're
like
not
we need
opposed to
get
having a
that
work
together.
session?
it doesn't.
I'm not opposed to having a work session.
I'm easy.
Megan?
We're going to be pretty busy in June already with filling Jim's seat.
Yeah. What's the timeline on that anyway, when we're going to start?
So
Tomorrow,
should we
we
say
are
July?
going to ask you to, I think it was on your notes already, but we're going to, that's for tomorrow, to declare a vacancy and to open it up and establish time for opening, time for closing, and board review.
And that is
Very
for
good.
tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, that's on our agenda for tomorrow.
It'll be at
Oh,
the tail
okay.
end of tomorrow's.
All right, so
we
then,
do
okay,
need
so
to
now we're
establish
kind of
that.
jumbling things up, so do we want a work session? You said we have a lot on June, yeah, okay, so.
I think we're going to see each other a lot already. And so if it is just coming up with the goals, I think we could email them.
Okay,
That
I
would be
like
great.
it.
but you don't want a June work session?
No.
I prefer not. We'll still be together.
Okay,
Or
I'll still see you guys.
can the work session be the meeting to, you know, do the interviewing?
we have a special.
have a board-
Yeah, we can have a special meeting. How's that sound?
what I guess we call it.
Yeah,
the
once we get
special
this
meeting.
framework put together and we're ready to roll, we have a special session this summer. Does that sound okay?
Can we go ahead and do our work session in July? I mean, not June.
I'm not
but this-
opposed to any work sessions, but I want to know what everyone else thinks. I mean,
Yeah, so
I'm
maybe-
retired and et cetera, and so
Yeah, I mean, like Megan said, we've got June.
Megan
Got
is busy.
covered.
Megan would prefer not to have something in June. Is that correct?
Well,
Just-
she's saying we.
I'm saying we are gonna be really busy.
Yeah.
We.
with- Yeah, with meeting together to fill Jim's seat.
Okay.
Anyway.
So,
That was a busy time for you.
yeah, oh, yeah, so, we can put it off to July or something like that, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our work session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
I'm-
works.
All right, good.
I'm good with
All right,
that.
so then I think we have a direction for the district, right? Okay, good.
So we're all just.
And, all right, so then we have a consensus. There's no need to take a vote or anything like that.
I
Megan,
move we adjourn.
Megan.
Megan, go ahead.
Can I ask one final question?
Sure, you bet. And we're not in a rush. Go ahead.
So we might be in a rush, but with bringing up the calendar and whether or not that works for us, do we want to talk about, can you weigh in for, 5, 10 words, however many you want, on if it is too late to change it before this next year, if it is not working for us, if it is time to readjust it? And we've talked about other districts that have changed it in the middle of the year. I feel like we're at a good time now if we're saying this one really didn't work that well for us. Maybe we need to change it before fall. Do we have time for that?
Well, let the superintendent answer, and then
I
we'll,
just want to clarify what you're at.
yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Okay, if I could defer to Mr. Watson and Mrs. Pettit, I think they can both, Mr. Watson serves on the calendar committee. He could answer this question better than me. Mrs. Pettit had some concerns about schedule pickup and that sort of thing when I ran it by her earlier today.
Is Sue still here?
Yeah, she was.
Oh, here she comes.
Bored for a minute, and then she had.
You thought you could escape, but, doggone it, we got you.
That
Yeah,
happened to
so
me
she was
too.
running the sound for us in the back there.
You can never escape, Sue.
That's
You know.
okay.
You can
I'm
run,
good.
but you can't hide. Okay.
Mrs. Furness' question was in regard to the calendar. Is it too late to make any changes for next year with what we have in place as far as schedule pickup?
Start date.
Depends on what changes we're looking at.
Okay,
Minuscule.
Minuscule.
In my mind, let's say we were to change October parent-teacher conferences, give the teachers all of Friday off instead of half-day working Friday,
Okay.
move those parent-teacher conferences, shift. And because, like I said before, my understanding was that the teachers wanted a little more either collab time or time that they can recover and boost, to help boost morale. So maybe in those months where parent-teacher conferences are really heavy and that's really draining on a teacher, we give a little bit more. Maybe also, what
April?
month is our spring break?
March,
March, so April
okay?
was the
April.
long haul month this year.
Give a date.
Yeah.
It's, every-
So minuscule changes like that. And if we said, hey, we actually could be out by Memorial Day next year and that's a priority to all the people,
Okay.
yeah,
So,
let's run those.
Which means
so
start
we,
through.
we did a little investigating. Any day that you take out of the calendar, we need to add 2 minutes onto the day all year
Okay.
to make up that day. We have to have enough hours. We have a minimum number of hours, and then we also have a minimum number of hours for credits. Our 4th and 5th grade is very tight on hours for the year.
Within 10.
Yes.
So we only have 10 additional hours, and that would include snow days or any other days we could be taking off. So we would have to definitely look at
So
the
those are
day.
squishy. So minimum, we would have to add 2 minutes onto the 4th and 5th grade school day somehow to take one day out. So if you wanted to take one day in October and one day in April, it would be 4 minutes a day for 4th and 5th grade. The rest of the grades can absorb that, and we're okay. If you want to do before Memorial Day, you're looking at 6 days, so those 2 plus 4 more. So you'd have 12 minutes of time added on to everybody's schedule. And then we'd also have to move end of trimesters for first trimester, end of trimester for second trimester, to make sure we have enough days to get enough hours for high school credits to get the number of hours they need for high school credit. That would be, so the extra 4 days would be very difficult. We would have to bring our whole calendar committee back in again. So 2 days adding October and April, that's, I think, doable.
But, question,
Sure.
weren't you asking to start a week early too, though?
Yeah.
As part of that?
I wasn't in there for that part, so that's.
I'll
that's
just
a
give you
whole-
my-
That's a whole calendar
Clear
committee
about the
thing.
whole-
Yes, anything at the end of the day, anything the board, we can reconvene and have the calendar committee reconvene, look at different options again, and vote on that. I would say a word of caution, as plans, we've had this out now and approved for well, not quite 6 months, let's say 5
People have
months.
planned their vacation.
People have already planned, especially the start of the school year in terms of vacations and other things. I know, I'll just give you an example of when we moved just elementary start times at a couple of schools. And we made that decision in the summertime because of boundary changes, transportation. We received some unhappy feedback just in regards to those changes because of people's schedules and things that they had already planned. So it's possible, but I would say that also knowing that it's already been out and approved for 5 months, I guess it just depends on how much you feel like it needs to be changed or want it to be changed, because there will be some people that have already made plans and have things established and in place that would need to be changed.
Maybe the happy medium is those 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds like from your feedback that to boost teacher morale, it's not going to work.
As far as moving,
Just giving them another 2 days.
2 days, I think we could easily do.
That's what I think.
If you did the October and the April, easily.
Without changing the.
Without changing, so 4th and 5th grade would have to add 4 minutes to their day, and that could be done during recess time or during, if there's time at lunch, it's 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there.
We would look at individual school schedules, and maybe our 4th and 5th grade would need to cut their recess time down by 5 minutes a day, but it also impacts. There is an impact.
There's an
Any of those
impact, yeah,
decisions,
yeah.
or if we extend the school day, then you push it back 5 minutes, and it seems like 5 minutes isn't a big deal, but then it turns into 5 minutes for middle school, it turns into 5 minutes for high school because of transportation schedules. So even though we say, oh, that seems really small and insignificant, sometimes those little changes can
Snowball.
be more than you would
Yes.
think.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
so,
I have a rehearsal to get to. if
That,
I need to be
that answers
excused.
my question.
Okay.
To me, it was just all about the teachers, and if it's going to
Mm-hmm.
disturb a big pond, let's leave it.
yeah, we didn't check out those ripples yet,
Okay, well,
so,
see you on the
Gosh,
calendar.
now we're gonna get a whole bunch more emails.
so.
Okay, thank you very much. So then, did we reach any resolution on that? We're good. Okay, so we know what we're going to do?
2 days still, though? I'm open to
No,
whatever.
no.
No?
I feel like my question was asked and answered.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, good. So then we decided
good
about the
with
committee and the structure, and you have direction?
And
We do.
And so if there is no further discussion or comments, then I will move that we adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
All of us.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No?